What's going on, guys? Dallas Talk Tua coming back with another video talking about the Cowboys and what our offseason has kind of been in store for the past week. Um, First off, fired Eberflus. Oh my god, I cannot explain how good it felt to wake up to that notification, especially as the day before they had told us, oh, we're going to take 12 to 14 days to really evaluate things, and it just looked like they were gonna roll their fucking feet the entire time. And I'm glad they didn't. Get rid of the guy. He led the Cowboys' worst defense in history of the Cowboys, which is a very long time, longer than a majority of teams. And I know it's not just him. Personnel sucked, and everyone in the organization apparently was on board with this scheme. But ultimately, blame falls on him. He's the defensive coordinator. He's in charge. So glad he's gone. And looking at more of the search today, we've got a couple candidates. Jim Leonard, we have an interview with. Durante Jones, and then Imframe Banda. All of who seem like pretty solid candidates, Jim Leonard being my personal favorite, as I've seen the most people talk highly about him. And he was a guy that was kind of in other talks when we had Mike Nolan, when we let him go. So it seems he's not one of those guys where it's like they have a really great season or 2 seasons, and then he goes up a position, kind of becomes like maybe not just a pass game coordinator or a position group coach to a coordinator, and then kind of stinks it up. He has stayed very consistent and consistently had success. I think he has like a decade where he has proven himself. So overall, really good candidates so far. And Jerry's talked about, or Shoddy actually talked about, casting a wide net for this defensive coordinator search. And I'm glad they're doing it, or at least they said they're doing it. I would like to see it. I kind of had this talk with my friends where one of my friends is very much the opposite, where he has no hope. He thinks Jerry's not going to do anything. And I'm very much the opposite, where I'm very optimistic. And then my other friend is kind of in the middle ground because he's a Chiefs fan. But this is promising. This is what we should be doing. Now we will see if they attempt to go at some of the bigger names, like the Arizona Cardinals head coach who got fired, Brian Flores, and some of the other guys who are, I guess, the top candidates. But overall, so far what we've done is good. Now getting into what we should be doing for the future. With the draft, we have not hit on a defensive player in quite a while. Ezaraku looks promising, but I can't really think of anyone, especially edge rusher. Edge rusher was Micah. Micah was drafted as a linebacker, and I think we didn't develop him. He was just always amazing. Walked into that one. Diggs, I guess you could say we developed, but we know how that ended. Bland. A lot of our defensive guys, they start off really good and then they get paid, and it's just downhill from there. I can't remember, besides Micah, our last actual defensive superstar. Like, Jordan Lewis is probably the best name that I can think of in the past, half decade to decade. And Jordan Lewis is a phenomenal cornerback. But, I mean, he's not taking your defense from 31st or 32nd to 20th. He's just not doing that. So we need to at least draft well, which we'll see. That's my biggest concern, is the draft, as we have not hit on a lot of draft pieces in the past couple drafts. We're very hit or miss, where we either draft really well or we really missed on those. So hopefully we actually put some good talent to use, and I'm praying we let the new D coordinator have some real input there. And let's really do our time on the defensive coordinator search and let him pick some pieces to develop. Make this kind of a long term. I'm not asking for a top 5 unit or a top 10. I just want an average defense, average to below average next year. You can, with this offense, assuming we resign George, you can do really well with that team. You can be a wild card to divisional threat with that type of defense. Now there's some things on the offense that need to be worked on, but we're talking about the defense really today. And I want this to be a long-term solution, not a short-term, let's just get a new defensive coordinator, throw some talent at him, and hope for the best next season. And, if he's not amazing, get rid of him. This needs to be a long-term solution. This needs to be a guy that you are going to keep around, and these are going to be draft players that you will keep around and develop. The main ones I've heard people talk about are a defensive end and cornerback, just because free agency, it's kind of hard to get them just because they cost so much. And you have so many holes in your defense that I don't think you can afford just to sign one big dude and then a couple smaller ones. I think you need to sign a good amount of starters. Maybe they don't cost you as much as like a superstar would, but fill out most of the roster with starter level caliber players, and then draft some guys who you hope will be stars. I think that's your best long-term fit. So I think you draft a defensive end, you draft a corner in the first 2 rounds. I don't think you go offense till maybe your last couple of picks, just because you can't really afford it. But getting into free agency, I think this is where you target those linebackers and those safeties. Because currently, the only linebackers that I think should really... You shouldn't really look to replace them or overshown. Maybe Logan Wilson, if you really believe in it, just because you traded for him and we didn't really see much. But Kenneth Murray should be gone. Leafau, tight leash around him. Shamar James, we'll see. He had flashes in the middle of the season, but overall didn't really see much. Safeties, both your safeties should be gone. They were horrendous, and your backups weren't much better. So honestly, you don't need to really worry about, maybe we keep Jonathan Wilson or Malik Hooker. Both of them should be gone. Like, if they're still on the team, if I still have to watch them on Sundays, I'm going to be kind of upset. But, so you go out in free agency, sign some starter-level linebackers and safeties, probably 1 to 2 on linebackers. You definitely need 2 safeties, maybe 3. And if you go 3 on the safeties, probably 2 starter levels and then 1 backup who has a little bit more upside. That's what I'm thinking. And then maybe a DN, like not a Dante Fowler because he didn't really pan out, but someone like that where they've proven to do some good. To go ahead and pay them a little bit. I mean, you have the cap room. You do. I think we're top 5 in cap space. And if we give George an actual contract, it goes up. We've gotten rid of a lot of guys that will, mainly Diggs, that will cut into that cap space. So we have more than we thought we were. Or no, most people thought we were getting rid of Diggs, but we have a good enough. Use it. And I don't think Jerry is going to use it. Like, my friend thinks he's not going to use it at all. He has to use it. He's not going to just sit here with, I think it's like roughly $50 million and just sit on it. He's going to use it. He's going to get someone. It's just a matter of, does he do the due diligence to legitimately pay guys who deserve it and are going to produce to the level that we're looking for. But that's really all I got today, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.